Fallout 1 and 2 were amongst the first video games that really stuck with me. More than any other similar games, the world felt rich and complex. You aren't an important archetypal hero, and the choices are often hard, with Pyrrhic or unfavourable outcomes. Yet, the game also had its tongue firmly in its cheek, allowing you to be a fluffer or even a super mutant's gimp. Even at university, several years later, whilst others were dancing or making out, my computer science friends and I would be discussing how a new Fallout game could be amazing. Then, in 2007, Bethesda set the world on fire with a teaser for a new Fallout game. As a die-hard fan, I was torn between excitement and skepticism. Could a company known for fantasy first-person RPGs really do justice to the isometric turn-based gem that I cherished? I clung to hope, devouring every teaser, crafting wallpapers from the trailers, and even taking days off work for the launch. Incidentally, if you have a hankering for a post-apocalyptic isometric RPG, Wasteland is a series that has got you covered. Anyway, now that I've said my credentials as a fan for the series, it's no secret that among the original Fallout fans, New Vegas, Obsidian's follow-up to Fallout 3, is considered the best modern Fallout. There's a number of reasons why New Vegas is the preferred Fallout. It was made not only by a company who understand Fallout, their heritage linking directly with Fallout 1 and 2, but by people objectively better at crafting an RPG. You tell me how a ranged filth stealth archer who just happens to know one spell can become the leader of Skyrim's Magic Academia. Bethesda just lack the skills necessary to ever make something that goes beyond a surface-level RPG these days, and you can find plenty of videos from people highlighting how they don't know or ignore the Fallout lore, how they don't seem to understand how time works, that much of their quest design is linear or dull, that bad game mechanic decisions like a dialogue wheel damage the game, that the idea of adding radiant quests, respawning instances, and a focus on building a base ruins any semblance of urgency for their story or quests, and making those mechanics core also removes a fair chunk of fun for people who want to play a story RPG rather than Minecraft. So, I don't need to make a video about that. What I will say is 3 was okay, 4 was bad, and 76 was terrible enough for it to be the first Fallout game I haven't played, which includes the mobile one. So that's a pretty steady downward trajectory. Fallout 76 was the straw that broke the Brahmin's back for many of us. The moment they announced it and described what it was, Fallout was basically done. As people my age say, they ruined my childhood. And many people shared that sentiment. Sure, there were some poor hopeful souls clinging to the idea of a separate, more traditional Fallout game, or dreaming that Obsidian would swoop in and save the day again. But that ship has sailed. Obsidian have their own projects, and from what I've heard, the relationship with Bethesda wasn't exactly cozy. Plus, even if Bethesda decided to grace us with a new single-player focused game, we're looking at years down the line. With 76, Starfield, and Elder Scrolls hogging the spotlight, any hope of a true Fallout experience is buried under piles of radioactive rubble. The Fallout license is a gold mine waiting to be tapped, but Bethesda seem content with scratching the surface and leaving it at that. And while there's a sliver of hope for the upcoming TV show, especially with some of the people involved, I can't shake the feeling that Bethesda have got a tight grip on the wheel. And in any case, I can't exactly play a TV show. So, enter Fallout London, a project I've had my eye on for a while, albeit from a distance. It's a mod for Fallout 4, and this isn't your common garden nudity or infinite carryweight mod. This is a full-blown endeavor involving over 200 passionate individuals from across the globe, all working together to craft an entirely new Fallout experience set in a part of the world yet to be explored. When you've been following games news closely for some time, it's easy to dismiss projects like this at its early stage. They often start with a bang but fizzle out due to licensing issues or financial struggles or personal conflicts or just the harsh realities of game development. Fallout London has faced its fair share of hurdles, including global events which have delayed its release, but Despite the challenges, there's something undeniably exciting about what I've seen so far. Over the years, they have been steadily releasing videos, mostly updates, showcasing various developments, showing off guns and things like that, but the release announcement a couple of months ago was a more all-round, overall exploration of what we can expect, and included a hard release date. The mod is set to release on the 23rd of April, and that has ignited something in me that has been dormant for a hot minute: hope for the Fallout series. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm still grounded in the reality that this is not a canon event, and there's not a whole lot said about Europe in the wider lore, other than it's slightly worse off than the US. But you know what? I'm okay with that. The prospect of a potentially well-crafted Fallout game is too enticing to let that bother me, and there's a lot to like from what we've been shown. Sure, the surface is there. They've nailed the vintage London aesthetic and created a setting with appropriate weapons and collectibles, etc., but they've also gone above and beyond by addressing some of the criticisms aimed at Bethesda's Fallout games. Take quest design, for example. Fallout 4 had its moments, sure, but the main storyline felt about as linear as a deathclaw charging straight at you. There are a few standout quests, like the robot pirates, but they were more memorable for being funny rather than any meaningful choices they offered. Games like The Witcher, New Vegas, or Baldur's Gate have shown how nuanced but subtly complex quest design can give players tough choices that make you pause and think of the consequences to you and the world, and where the answer isn't always a binary, obviously good or bad choice. And games like New Vegas, Baldur's Gate, and Zelda have shown how thinking about the different approaches that players can take and catering for them can make players feel like they've found some clever approach by not following the obvious path. If Fallout London can get close to those standards with their quest design, then we're already onto something better than Bethesda's games. It's a big ask, genuinely. As a long-term Dungeons & Dragons game master, quest design is hard, but throughout the Fallout London video, they mention the idea of forging your own path, being immersed, and role-playing in the world several times. In Fallout 4, dialogue skill checks were removed, and dialogue was switched from knowing exactly what you're about to say from a long list of possible options to getting a vague idea of the feeling of what you're going to say from a limited dialogue wheel. Fallout London have gone back to a more traditional dialogue selector with skill checks, and thankfully a silent protagonist. This gives me hope that the over 100 quests are a more immersive experience with the complexity and nuanced outcomes of something like New Vegas. However, the true test lies in the quality of these quests, and again, it's wild speculation and assumption, but Fallout London, even with a silent protagonist, has over 90,000 lines of dialogue performed by a talented cast. That's almost as many lines as Fallout 4 has, with their chatty Cathy main character included. So it's not a big leap to think that the team has invested considerable effort into creating branching paths and consequences for your choices. It also stands to reason that the boast of that many lines of dialogue means less repetition than Fallout 4. There's only so many ways a set of characters can say, "Go protect a settlement," and it doesn't add up to 90,000. As you would anticipate, the quests are broken down by main story, side quests, faction quests, and companion quests. That many quests are going to need a chunky map, and it is big, covering 15 areas of London, as well as any connective areas and internal instances. In fact, it's as expansive as the Commonwealth and Far Harbor combined. But CG, Bethesda games are big too. Simply having a big map for the sake of having a big map isn't a good thing. You're right. Simply having a vast map doesn't guarantee an engaging experience, and Starfield demonstrates this by being, as predicted, a bunch of barren planets. Worse than that, the areas where Starfield should feel big actually feel small on the scale they have set. It's honestly a good job you can't fly down from space, because the city would be a tiny dot about the size of a small suburb. Thankfully, Fallout London's video breaks down precise areas with different characteristics, giving me hope that there's a reason for it to be that size, and that they have created a cohesive London experience despite obviously not being as big as real London. My hope is that it will feel like Night City. For all the faults with Cyberpunk, Night City is perhaps the most well thought out and put together game spaces that exists. It's not huge, but it comes across like a large city through how it is put together and how the districts work. As the crow flies, the slums are a stone's throw from some of the wealthiest areas. But with well thought out route design and visuals, they feel like distinct districts with enough travel between them. Open world game areas are small compared to real world locations. It's just a fact. We've had a glimpse of the Fallout London map, and to me it looks closer to Night City than to Fallout 4. In Fallout 4, the vast majority of the world is countryside, and the city itself is a chunk in the central eastern area. Fallout London's map looks like the vast majority is central London. It's the wiggly bit of the Thames that's in the EastEnders opening. Like everything else in this video, it's speculation, but what I'm seeing makes me think it's going to feel like a city, not like a small selection of buildings plopped in a mostly empty world. However, it's not all sunshine and roses. With all the good, there are still some concerns lingering in the back of my mind. If I could travel back in time, aside from preventing World War II and stopping myself from stepping on an upended electrical plug that one time, I would find the person who decided that adding building settlements to Fallout was fun and give them a spritz with some water. Bad developer. No, stop it. Unfortunately, Fallout London seems to be leaning into the mechanic as well, even adding things like the ability to milk Brahmin. So the risk of building settlements and protecting them from mole rats or radiant quests involving going into a factory you've already cleared 5 times is not zero. However, I'm hopeful that it is handled with more finesse in Bethesda to avoid it becoming just a tedious distraction. Ultimately, Fallout London isn't out yet, and because it's a mod, it hasn't had the same coverage as a published game, obviously. And though I have some skepticism about things like the building mechanic, my overall position is optimism. Yes, my optimism is based purely on some videos and gut feeling, but based on what I've seen so far, I am itching to lose myself in its post-apocalyptic rendition of London for countless hours. And what's wrong with a little hope in an otherwise post-Bethesda wasteland? This video was partly to bring attention to Fallout London for people who might not have even been aware of it, so let me know in the comments if you are excited about it or if you were even aware of it before, and please do consider all of the likey, subscribey nonsense. Thanks for watching, bye!